We are going to look into how better data drives better analytics using Informatica's IDMC or Intelligent Data Management Cloud. I'm Ajay Gollapalli, the Solution Director for Azure within Informatica. Businesses have been making many decisions. Imagine these decisions are made with data. They're successful. Sometimes gut decisions work 50-50. But if the decisions made out of data are made out of not trustworthy data, their decisions are still 50-50 because it's equivalent of making decisions without any validations of the data itself. So most customers, when they build analytics, the analytics portfolio of products, they want to look into, especially on the cloud, they want to look into how do I migrate my data? How do I clean my data? Before going into the analytics of challenges what customer has, I want to talk about how Microsoft and Informatica have a long-standing partnership, especially focused on early days of Azure, on building Informatica IDMC products on Azure Synapse, Power BI, ADLS, or normally called as Azure Data Lake Storage, and also on various other Azure data services. We are a cloud-based SaaS company where all our solutions are SaaS-based, and we have thousands of customers with Microsoft, which with we have got a lot of joint motions and solved customer challenges. The picture you see is where we had Scott Guthrie share the dais with our CEO Amit Walia in our Informatica World a few months back. But as I said earlier, moving data from into cloud and building analytics, all customers have the same questions. Every customer I spoke to had, what kind of data should I bring? Should I bring in all my data? Should I bring only my transactional data? Should I bring analytical data and then start building analytics, extend my analytics? What is the data that I need to bring? Sometimes the data that is raw needs to be migrated and analytics can be built on top of it. But if your analytics is not trustworthy, if your data is not clean, how do you bring those data? But even the question before identifying what data should I bring, the question is, oh, how do I get the batch data or real-time data, streaming data? How do I get all this data into Azure? That's a bigger issue in terms of identifying different patterns, different velocities of data, making sure the data is fit for use and getting into analytics space. As I said, fit for use, we talk about how do we get the data into a cleanse mode? How do I make sure the data that I'm receiving from my online transaction systems are all clean? When I say clean, what does it mean by that? Imagine a retailer company having not capturing the date of birth and trying to build analytics on age population, demographic population to launch new products. They're going to build baby clothes because they're not been capturing any kind of date of births. So similarly, they should be able to understand what data an enterprise have, and how do I make sure the data is not skewed, or how do I make sure the data is complete, and how do I, as a business, want to make sure the data is usable. And those questions, Informatica answers it, along with making sure the data is secure. How do I get my better data? Is it the right use case? Is it the right audience for the data? Is this the right data for the right use case? All those questions can be answered through Informatica, making sure with data governance and providing a secure mechanisms for capturing the data. And also, one of the most important things from a customer business point of view is providing a single view of record, getting all customer data in a single from multiple repositories into a single democratized way of looking at the data. Informatica has master data management that solves the problem, and we look into how it solves the problem. The last question, but not the least, and very important one, is how do I make sure that as a business can get the data governed from end to end, a real from the source system till where it reaches into analytics. It could be building machine learning models on top of Databricks, or it could be building analytics on top of Power BI reports. How do I keep the data track from an enterprise level from end to end systems? These questions, Informatica answers all these questions through the different solutions that Informatica has built over a period of time. Uh, the way we have approached this, Informatica SaaS solutions are built On top of a platform for Azure, we have a AI-based rules engine called Claire. Claire provides a list of microservices. These microservices support all the different applications that you're going to look today, be it catalog, be it integration, or be it app integration, and data quality, making sure that Claire provides insights into what kind of quality rules do we need. How do we democratize the MDM data or MDM use cases to talk about MDM as in master data management, use cases to talk about who are my valuable customers or what are the different valuable products. How do I get a monetary recency kind of algorithms in place for my MDM? And also providing a true online system called as data marketplace, where where a business analyst can check out, can request for a data and check out the data for their use to build analytics through IDMC. And with our partnership with Microsoft, all our solutions work across all the three clouds of Microsoft. The famous three clouds, Microsoft 365 or the Office versions, and the Dynamics 365, along with where the CRM and project and financial operations solutions, on top of working on top of the Power Platform and Azure, making sure we collaborate on all the different products that Microsoft has been building for our cloud customers. From an architecture point of view, most of you are eager to understand how does the data flow, what is the data, how does the data come from multiple sources. So Informatica has 200 plus connectors, especially focused on SaaS-based applications, and on-prem applications, and batch applications, depending upon whether it is a data store or whether it is your Oracle ERP packages, or it could be from Salesforce, it could be from ServiceNow. Many of the SaaS tools and your on-prem environments, be it SQL on-prem, be it any of the on-prem OLTP environments, you can bring in the data through our mass ingestion. Mass ingestion supports incremental, batch, full loads, CDCs, and various different patterns of data, including JSON, XML, and REST API calls. You integrate all of them in from mass ingestion, and then you can use the mass ingestion to push the data into the data lake as a landing zone, where uh, our data quality and profiling of data services can profile the data for making sure the data is not skewed, making sure the data is complete, and making sure the data has got relevant information that are necessary for building analytics and making the data is trustworthy and fit for use. Once the data is in the landing zone, the data integration component can transform the data, can load the data into Synapse and then transform the data through an ELT mechanism. ELT is the extract, load, and transform the data. And we are using a concept called as advanced pushdown optimization. Advanced pushdown optimization ensures the compute capacity of Synapse is being reused, making sure that as a customer, they're getting the value for their investments on Synapse and through Informatica's IDMC tools. And once the data is clean, without time for analytics, your analytics to provide an analytics, the business analyst can use the data governance concept. When the data is governed from end to end, they have the list of resources of data available for the analyst to be consumed through the marketplace, where they can make an request for the data itself and then check out the data from the marketplace. And last but not least is the master data management, where all the data from multiple sources can be democratized based upon different matching algorithms. It could be match, merge, relate, all those different algorithms to make sure that the data is not only ready and data is not only fit, it also enriches the data, making sure the data is available for business analysts to provide a complete picture of their customers, suppliers, or products, or whatever the entities of business information is. Anyway, further along, let's go into the demo itself. So first, I'm going to divide this demo into three pieces. One, I'm going to focus on data producers who produce the data in terms of data engineer and ELT developers, focusing on bringing the data into from the on-prem environment into Azure landing zones, and then cleaning the data in terms of making the data uh, high quality with high fidelity data. And then I'm going to talk about the business analysts and the data masters who are the people within the organization focused on understanding the entire customer information or providing a kind of loyalty mapping, all those kind of different nuances for the entities of data. And also we are going to see the demo for the data steward and the data scientist as part of the data consumers. We're going to see the demo how they can procure and start building the analytics. So let's go with the demo. So first, as I said, we are going to look into the mass ingestion framework. So in this IDMC's homepage, where you'll be able to see all of the different components that IDMC supports. So in mass ingestion supports bringing a lot of volume of data from your on-prem environment into the landing zone, which is the Azure Data Lake Storage. So we'll be able to configure. I'll show you what are the different ingestion tasks available, and you'll be able to configure the ingestion based upon the kind of data, then the source data where the repository is, and we can bring it up into the environment. So as I said, mass ingestion supports application ingestion, database ingestion, file ingestion, and streaming ingestions. And we can configure a database ingestion from an on-prem environment where you can determine where you should be running the runtime environment from. What are the different types of loads? You can build an incremental load or initial load. And how do we deploy these load of information, and how do we bring this data from your source into the target? So for the demo purposes, I've already built out some of the scenarios. So we'll be able to look into those and appreciate how we can bring data into Azure itself from your on-prem environment. So when you look at the different informations, we're able to support multiple connections depending upon what kind of connections we have from your on-prem environments. It could be a batch, it could be a streaming data, it could be a OLTP system, and you'll be able to say what schema the data comes from and what tables are going to be included and what tables are excluded based upon the filter conditions that you can set for analytics. You'll be able to determine what tables do we need, what columns of information do we need from your source information. And moving along, you can also point to the target where the data has to be deposited or to be pushed or to be repository of using a data lake storage. And what are the different formats available? You can store it as a CSV, a parakeet. If you're going to store it in the data lake, you can store any kind of formats that you would want to store it. And similarly, you can compress the data, whether you want to compress it or not. Here, I'm going to push the data from the on-prem environment, which is a SQL Server, to a data lake storage that contains the drug distribution data for this example. And once we are ready with the data, and once you're able to deploy the mass ingestion, we'll be able to specify whether it has to run on a frequency. Imagine if you have incremental load, you can specify what frequency you want to run this task and how many records you want to pull in. You want to pull in all records. Do you have a number? You can specify all this information in this context. Once the data has been copied over or moved over from your on-prem environment into the data lake, the next thing is to understand the data. Where this data coming from, and what kind of data it is. In terms of when I say kind, it means, is this data high profile data? Is this the data contains PII information, or is this data contains a personal information, or is the data contains is it complete? Is it fit for use? Can we build analytics on top of it? So we run our data profiling task. So when in the specified data, when you profile the data, you're going to look into a profiling task based upon how much of the data is skewed, what is the primary key for this data looks like. This data, many of our systems have been built for a long period of time, especially if you look at the enterprise business, they have been building data for quite a while. And these rules have been specified to inform the analyst, inform the data stewards on how much of data it is available for analytical purposes. In this example, we are going to look into specified columns of data, looking at as if you look at the examples, is it percentage is null? How many null values are there? You can see the ID value. It says 0% is null. That means most likely it will be the primary key. It can give a complete understanding of the data, especially most of the systems that have been built over a period of the dot works of the data seems to be very similar. sometimes get lost because it is not properly documented, it is not properly monitored, managed over a period of time. Now you would like to have an understanding of how this data looks like. What is the data semantic look like? Whether this data gets for you, how do we build analytics, and what are the different tenets of information available in the system. And you'll be able to see, for example, what are the different samples of data. If there's a particular value of data you're looking at, and you can look at how distinct the data is, and how non-distinct the value is. Is there a lookup reference that has to be applied to a set of data? Is it a slowly changing dimension? All these questions can be answered in the profile. And also, using IDMC's Claire, you can review some of the insights. These insights provide what kind of quality rules that you can establish for this information. For example, if you want to see the data, if the drug name is not complete, that means if the drug name is not 100% for this kind of data, this is the potential quality rule that has to be met to make sure the data is high fidelity data. And this provides a kind of picture for users to gather if this data is fit for analytics or not. And from here, if you look at the use cases, once the data is profiled, as an ETL developer, you would like to look at the quality of data. How do I improve the quality of the data? Is the important question. By applying rules saying whether the data is complete, if the data is not complete, if there are what kind of verifying rules can I apply? Is it a cleansing rule? For example, if you have a customer data coming with addresses and you want to use an accelerator like address accelerators, you can use to cleanse the data. You want to avoid duplicates. If you want to see what are the different drugs that could have in the system, could have had duplication, you can apply reduplication. And there are many times when you need parsing because of proprietary formats of data coming in through JSON, through XMLs, and multiple layers of data. You'll be able to apply any of these accelerators. And we'll be looking into one of the samples where we'll say, if this is a particular code of information, how do we take this drug data and then provide a regular expression to say, if this is how the data comes in, and I would like to clean the data to be a specified format to meet the compliance standards. Those kind of quality rules can also be built inside the data quality application. Once you clean the data, once you're able to have a high quality data, your data looks solid. You can push the data into the uh, have something called as cloud data integration. The cloud data integration supports step-by-step approach, like a step-by-step approach in terms of taking the data and understanding where the data is coming from. For in this scenario, it's coming from um, data lake storage, and it'll be applied some kind of a specification, and this specification will be able to move the data into the target, which is Synapse in this scenario. So you can specify where the data is coming from, what is the source. And if you look at the source, it will tell you that it's a Azure Data Lake Gen 2, which was acting as a landing zone for us. And we make all our rules, built-in rules to make sure the data is clean, data is available for making the data fit for use for building analytics. And we push the data into Synapse. In Synapse environment, we can specify what schema the data has to be stored as and what is the table name. We specify those information, and with optimization, you can the entire workload into Synapse environment. So this makes it easy for consumption purposes. So when you have to do ELT approach, you will be able to use the push down, and you'll be able to get the required performance, and to build a huge volume of data. So it's generating pushed on. So this is a live demo. It is going to take a couple of seconds to generate the push down experience. And once you'll be able to see the push down experience, you'll be able to map the entire integration from taking the data from the source, profiling it, cleaning the data with quality, and then integrating all the quality rules and applying those rules, and then pushing the data into the Synapse environment. So this is the kind of query that gets generated to push down this data into Synapse. So now we saw the persona of the developer looking into the data from the source till the warehouse. But once we have multiple systems providing similar set of data, now you want to democratize the data. The data democratization happens through master data management. With master data management, the data is available when it is available from multiple sources. The master data management in this example, in this demo today, I'll be walking you through a customer 360 to provide clarity about how the different systems gather different information and provide that single view of record for one particular customer, or for a particular account, or for particular suppliers, or particular details in terms of many entities that businesses needs. So let's give it a second. I locked my room, so the network is a little bit cloudy here. So as I said earlier, the first homepage of the Customer 360 is a dashboard providing you various information about the customer. As a customer tenant, you would like to know different details about the customer. Who are my valuable customers? How much do they earn? How much are they willing to spend? And how many members are there in the family? If you want to look at from a retail perspective, you would want to know how much of loyalty cards are they using? Are they loyalty customers with gold, platinum, various demographic information, various tenets of information. You can look at the dashboard, and you'll also be able to look into the customer in themselves. Here, I'm going to show a customer, Christopher Bradshaw, and I don't know the last name. I don't know how to spell the last name. I'm going to bring out all Christophers, and you'll be able to see that it brought on all Christophers, not just the Christopher that has been typed in, but you can also see the Christopher, most likely scenarios of customers who are most likely that I'm looking for as a predictive algorithm. So you'll open up Christopher Bradshaw. Here, Christopher Bradshaw has got various tenets of information. You will see that the Christophers have all their information, personal information, their demographics and social media, and these are categorized. And to provide, um, uh, we use some of the AI tools that will generate the recency, frequency, monetary aspect of what is called as an RFM score for a customer angle. And we provide this information to say whether the customer is a churn customer, whether the customer is um, valuable customer, is going to be a repeat customer or a new customer. You can provide all this information about the customer themselves. From here, we also have been working on building our analytics on what we call as the master data management analytics on Power BI. Our Power BI analytics provides the different information, whatever we are seeing about the customer information from various systems, they get consolidated and then they get stored in the Synapse workspace. So in the MDM analytics dashboard for this demo, what we are looking at is the different product types, as in business, as a retailer, are using it. Are they using a retail card? Are they using a general purpose card? Are they different product categories that they're using? And what is the revenue over a period of time? And what are the different reasons for the revenue into various tenets of information? You'll be able to look into the different transactions, different segment predictions to understand and provide a valuable insight into the customer on how do you want your organization to shape up your data to provide better analytics. Getting a single view of record is amazing, but getting a single view of record and building analytics on top of it is a quick win for most of our customers in terms of utilizing the data. And we're also able to see the different transactions for the customers. So for example, I want to look into one of this customer in transactions. I can look into multiple transactions of the customer and then provide a 360-degree view of going from a hierarchical format of looking at the organization wide, looking into individual accounts and looking into individual state, individual customers, their transactions is all encompassed into the master data management analytics. Now, we saw how a business analyst and an MDM owner can categorize data. We want to look into what the data steward and data scientist is going to look into. Uh, so as a cloud data governance of Informatica Cloud Data Governance and Catalog provides collects all the metadata of the organization and is able to provide a complete picture of your organization's data. It could be compliance, it could be your quality reports, it could be your what is your critical data looks like, what are the different data assets that you have, and how to request for the assets, and what does an asset contains as an asset as in the data as a product, how it is made available to your users, what is the lineage information, where is the information coming from, is it coming from which environment. All this information can be cataloged into your data governance. And similarly, when a business analyst or a data scientist would like to look for request for the new data to be checked out, they'll be able to go into the data marketplace and look at the tenant of information and request the data steward to approve their requirements on the data, making them able to check out the data for their further analytical use case. So this checkout experience, I close the window. With this checkout experience, when they were able to look at the data, uh, uh, they will be able to request where the data should land into, whether the data should land into a blob or the data should land into any kind of a container, so that they can do their further analytics wherever if they want to build on top of it, whether using Azure Databricks or they want to build using Power BI reports. These are some of the information that we have on the Ignite Microsoft Ignite webpage, where you can look into more videos and more demos. And also, we are introducing a new free functionality called Data Loader for Synapse. The Azure Synapse Data Loader is a no cost, zero DevOps, no install. Just we can sign up. There are 30 connectors that will provide interfaces to your online applications, connect to the data, and then you're able to pull the data into your environment, into your Synapse environment. So there is a this is you can use this barcode to sign up and look for the data loader. And we also have a video talking about how to leverage data mesh. Data mesh is a new concept, and many customers are looking into what data mesh looks like. We have a joint presentation from Jason, Jason Tolbert, who is a senior director on Azure practice, and Jiva AKR, who is the worldwide leader for Azure Cloud Analytics. They presented together on the data mesh, and you can take a look at the video. Thank you so much. Any questions? Let me know if there are any questions, and if there is any feedback, provide us, and we'll be glad to answer you. I understand there's a lot of information in a short time. If you want to reach us out and request a one-on-one basis to do a deep dive or an overview, you can reach me at info@informatica.com.